I want to welcome you back to Thrive in the Word. And we are continuing our study through the book of 1 Peter. But before we get into the text today, I just want to encourage you to hit that like button and then hit the subscribe button and subscribe to our channel. We've got all kinds of videos on our YouTube channel. So please, if you would really bless us and you would really help us if you would hit that like button and then hit the subscribe button. And that way the YouTube people will know that people are listening, and it will help us to bring the gospel of Jesus Christ around the world. We're looking at the book of 1 Peter. What a wonderful book, man. I am so blessed, and we're just now through verse number 3, and I am so blessed by the content of what Peter says here. Now, we ended by talking about the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. And now verse number 4 says this: to obtain an inheritance which is imperishable and undefiled and will not fade away, reserved in heaven for you. What's going to happen? Why do we have this living hope in the resurrection? Because in this living hope and in the resurrection of Jesus Christ, we begin to obtain an inheritance. You see, everything that we receive from God is based upon inheritance. How many of you realize that inheritance is something that's given to you? It's given to you because of relationship. Well, you see, when Jesus died and rose from the dead, you know what happened? Inheritance was given to every believer. You see, you're already experiencing your inheritance. Now, both of my parents have passed on, and because they passed on and went to heaven, my wife and I are experiencing our inheritance. Well, I've got news for you. There's a greater inheritance. And that inheritance is what Jesus bought and paid for when he went to the cross. And when he rose from the dead, he became the one who watches over that inheritance. Now, Peter describes this inheritance to us in a very beautiful way. Now, notice what it says. It says that it's imperishable. How many of you know that our things here on earth, they perish? Someday there's going to become a new heaven and a new earth. But you know what? Our inheritance that we receive from Jesus, our inheritance is imperishable. It will never go away. We are going to walk in our inheritance for an eternity. It's imperishable. It's always there. It's never going to go away. And notice what he says next. He says, and it's undefiled. What does that mean? That it's completely pure, completely 100% pure. You see, our inheritance, not only is it imperishable, but our inheritance is completely pure from any foreign subjects, from any foreign things. It's completely pure. No one can step in and say, "Now that's not right. No, that's not right." Y'all, no. You know, when you go to a lawyer, and if a will is contested, there's going to be people that are going to be able to say, no, that's not right. That's not really what they meant. And then you have a huge mess. But you know what? Our inheritance is uncontested. It's pure. It's completely without any fault whatsoever. Our inheritance is imperishable. In other words, it's not going to perish. But our inheritance is also completely pure. There is nothing in it that's negative. There's nothing in it that's bad. It's good, completely pure. And back to verse number 4 again. And it will not fade away. How many of you know that our lives here on earth are fading away? We're getting further and further. As we live, our lives continue to fade away. But you know what? Even though our lives fade away, our inheritance will never fade. It will never fade away. It's always the same. It's always beautiful. It's always there for us. It will never fade away. It's not something that we need to run after and just grab a hold of because it's going to leave. You know what? It will never go away from us. It's always going to be there. Anytime that you need the inheritance that Jesus bought for on the cross, it's there. It's right there. It's there for you. All you need to do is receive it by faith. It is right there, right now, and it's always going to be there. So it's imperishable. It's undefiled. And then it, according to the scripture here, it will not fade away. Now we're talking about the inheritance that we receive as believers. And then it says, and it's reserved in heaven for you. Now, there's some people that say, well, that just means our inheritance is in heaven and we can't get it. No, that's not what it means at all. What that means is that in heaven, our inheritance is reserved there. Now, if you could picture this, if you take money and you put it in a bank account, what is that? What's happening? You are reserving that money in that account. In other words, no one can touch that money. It's yours. The bank is there watching over it. The bank is there making sure that no one else comes and steals it away. You know, our inheritance is reserved for us. And God's sitting in heaven, and he's watching over that inheritance. He's saying, yeah, there it is. It's right there. Anytime you need it, it's there. How many of you realize that God is watching over our inheritance? Just think about that. So our inheritance, what is it? First of all, our inheritance is imperishable. Second of all, our inheritance is undefiled. Third, it will not fade away. And fourth, God himself is watching over it. It's like a deposit made in the bank account of heaven. It's always there. It's always available. We can always come and receive from our inheritance. So the Apostle Peter is talking to a group of Jewish believers. And his whole purpose of writing this letter is to encourage them. Brothers and sisters, you need to look at verse number 3 and 4. If you're feeling discouraged, if you're feeling like you've lost your hope, look at these two verses and realize that your hope is in heaven. Your hope is in Jesus Christ. But you have an inheritance, and it's there right now, whether you feel it or not. Whether you believe it or not, it's there. All you need to do is say, I receive from my inheritance as a saint, as a believer. I receive my inheritance. And you know what? God's going to say, yes. Yep, that's your inheritance. Go ahead. Take what you need. Take it. It's yours. Take it by faith. So be blessed. Be strengthened in knowing your inheritance.